Grifters. Grifters are absolutely everywhere. What do I mean by grifter? Well, it's very simple. In 2026, the term grifter is used to refer to anybody I disagree with, who also just so happens to be more successful than myself. Didn't you know? You disagree with me? Grifter. Do I find what you say offensive? Grifter. You cannot win against them in a debate? I'm just gonna call you a grifter. And all of this is really sad because grifters do exist. It's a valid term, and being able to spot grifters accurately is an essential skill you need to have in 2026. But now what remains of it is primarily just a buzzword used by idiots and propagandists. Just like how everybody was labeled a racist or a sexist, except those words, they've lost their punch. As a result, they need to actively cycle in and create new buzzwords that people are still desensitized to. And that is why I'm making this video, because I want to save the word grifter. I'm tired of hearing everybody throw it around willy-nilly without a second thought. So I'm here to set the record straight. We're going to concretely define what a grifter is and examine a few people who are grifters so we can better understand the different types of grifting. But before we continue, I need to clarify a couple of things that are really important. The reason why I made this video is to help protect you from grifters on your own side. Stop bloody accusing everybody you dislike and disagree with of being a grifter with absolutely no evidence. If you don't have real evidence to demonstrate somebody is grifting, then they may sincerely believe the things that they're saying, irrespective of if they're correct or not. More than anything, it's better for you to just stay in your own lane here and pay attention to the grifters on your own side, because those people are who you're most susceptible to being swindled by. Hasan is not trying to grift people on the right. Tate is not trying to grift people on the left. You get what I'm saying here? This video is designed to be a guide. It is designed to help people, to help protect you from the grifters who say the things that you want to hear. You should be less quick to call people grifters after watching this video. That is something I want to make abundantly clear to you. By definition, a grifter is somebody who pretends to hold a certain set of beliefs to profit off of a crowd that they ultimately swindle. Which is to say that these grifters are not merely just liars or even bad faith actors, because ultimately they are simply saying the correct things for financial gain. And a funny thing to point out in this video is both the left and the right constantly like to accuse the other side of being easier to grift. And I personally find this to be really cringe. I don't see a lot of evidence to suggest this is the case, because whenever they explain why they believe this, their arguments always boil down to, the other side I disagree with has a much simpler worldview. Therefore, it would be much easier to pull off a successful grift. Both of you say this about each other all the time. I think at the end of the day, this is just a projection. They're projecting how little they really understand the other side. Because if you look into it, both the left and the right can be very shallow or deep, depending on how far you're willing to get into it. Now that we have that out of the way, we're going to look at one of our first types of grifters, Dean Withers, who I would like to call the E-course grifter. When Dean Withers first got on the internet, he claimed to be a self-made millionaire at 17 years old. And he claimed if you bought his $250 ebook, he could teach you how to become one too. The same ebook that uses a free Canva cover that even retained the same testimonial name from the example on the template. I hope for your sake, Dean, that this testimonial is not forged, because that would constitute a literal felony. Maybe this Mr. Johnson just loves to give out a lot of testimonies to people. Dean would also flaunt his supposed wealth and even an expensive sports car, all while still living with his parents. And as the story goes, Dean later moved in with his brother, who eventually kicked him out after his brother claims that Dean Withers was literally the Antichrist, forcing Dean to move in with his grandparents.
I got kicked out of my brother's house. He turned my power off while I was on live. Brother's like, get the hell out, get all of your dip. He called me the Antichrist, he called me an agent of chaos. It was absolutely unreal.
Like, I'm not even joking, that's literally the story. Mind you, I was the first person to ever talk about this son of a bitch on YouTube. All of this would be the basic level E-course grifting, tier 1 grifting you could call it, because it's so blatantly obvious what's going on here. Like, how can we spot this grift? Well, it's very simple. If your personal life doesn't match the claims you're making or what you're selling, then don't buy it. No 17-year-old self-made millionaire is going to still be living with his parents or brother past the age of 18 and then cry about it on social media when he gets kicked out. Off to the next type of grifter, the sensational grifter. Now here's the thing, everybody knows the story about Tate. I'm not even going to reiterate it here, and it's a horrible story. He even sold online courses which directly inspired Dean Withers. But in this case, I want to focus on something a bit more interesting, something a lot more subtle and nuanced very few people seem to talk about. That being, Andrew Tate built his career off of sensationalism. He was fighting against feminism. Okay, that sounds reasonable. However, the novelty of that quickly died down after just a few years. And now the focus has swapped to a different group of people. A group of people I cannot talk about on YouTube, otherwise this video may get flagged. And with this shift of interest, how did Tate react? When what was trending changed, he decided to test out the waters quite a bit himself. That's what his new method was for appealing to people online. Because don't you know, whenever somebody says something funny and edgy about the Austrian painter, that means that guy's really based. Like, guys, didn't you know? When a woman online says the N-word one time, that makes her trad wife material, apparently. Totally not a grift, right? You can absolutely trust these people. And that is the ship Tate decided to sail on because it was trending. It was totally cool, man, when Tate decided to drive around in his Bugatti, playing the Kanye West song about the Austrian painter. That's so cool, man. But when they decided to play that same song at a party, it came back to bite him in the ass, where he was literally kicked out of every Florida nightclub. What did Tate do? He took a full 180 and stood against it, and decided to throw Nick and Sneeko under the bus. Now let's take a step back. What exactly happened here? Tate is a sensationalist grifter. He talks about whatever's trending most because that is what benefits him. But the moment it doesn't, he takes a full 180. That is a very reliable way to spot this grift. Are you saying and doing things because you believe in it or because it's profitable? When the profit dries up, they're not going to stand on any sort of principles, and they will go back on everything they ever said. That is the lens you have to view these people in. It makes it so much easier to spot grifters. Because grifting is not about what you say, it's about the intent. Why are you pushing this message out there? Not the message itself, which is why people's personal history, their receipts, matter. Have you always been on this ideological train, or did you just hop on the moment it became trending? That is sensational grifting in a nutshell. Then we have Hasan. He has his own style of grifting he has cultivated over many years. A style I like to refer to as lying about literally everything, including your upbringing, your family, and electrocuting your dog. All in order to save face and to look good in front of your mindless drones who follow whatever you say. That is the core of why these people lie. The presentation, how they are seen, is extremely important to these people. That is how they make their money. That's how they amass these followers. That's how they get their support. Look at these communist regimes, for example. It doesn't matter what they actually do. It's what they claim they stand for that determines whether people support them. Is China actually a communistic nation or a socialistic nation? Not really. It's actually the closest thing we've got to gentile fascism. And for those who don't know, was the creator of fascism. But these communists like to support them. Why? Because of the propaganda. Because of the cool imagery. Look guys, they got a hammer and sickle, so they gotta be based. They gotta totally be on the side of the workers. Anyways, get back to your 12-hour lunch shift. You'll not receive pay until done. Spotting his grift is incredibly simple. It's apparent to literally everybody at this point that it's become boring. But I theorize, one of the reasons for that is because everybody's attention is focused on him. Any little slip up, any little lie will not go unnoticed. However, for smaller creators, it's a lot easier to get away with it. The smaller and more niche a community is, the harder it is to spot these things. Keep that in mind. We know when he claims to be a hard-working socialist revolutionary, we can easily fact-check and see his father was a billionaire and his mother's a literal landlord. The exact same people he advocates for against are his parents.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, those motherfuckers in a video game, sorry. Holy shit, those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist dude. Oh my god, in a video game, of course.
They fall under that category, but I guess they're just the good ones, you know? We gotta always keep moving the goalposts here, don't you get it? When you're poor, you gotta advocate against the millionaires. But when you become rich, you gotta advocate against just the billionaires. And when you have a family member who's a billionaire, well, we just gotta say he's one of the good ones. It absolutely makes logical sense to me, at least from the perspective of self-interest alone, not principles though. And next we have the infamous Pearl Davis, also known as the Parrot Grifter. She's someone I can confidently say not only doesn't believe her own words, but doesn't even understand them. Women are emotional and can't be trusted. Women need to be traditional and submissive. Pearly want a cracker. Pearl will openly call out the behavior of women on a regular basis to dismiss the things that they say. She claims that women just shame, insult, and guilt trip men in order to control them. Okay, that's an astute observation, I guess. The problem is, she literally does all of those things herself. You see, whenever you call her out on this behavior, you say that she's shaming, she's insulting, or just yapping herself. Instead of that, discrediting the things she says, she'll instantly take a full 180 and use the fact that she is a woman to excuse that behavior.
The war of the sexes, I would say, is women challenging men's authority. And I would argue that you are the same as a blue-haired feminist. Because by nagging and telling men what to do, you are doing the same thing. You are implying that you are equal, which is what feminism fought for.
Husbands should correct their wives if they have a really bad idea that could hurt the marriage. Wives have that same role because husbands sometimes get pretty bad ideas that can be harmful.
Yeah, but who determines it?
The person with a rational brain in the marriage.
Yeah, so the men.
So I guess, so what's nice is in this debate, we know which side is the more rational one, right?
Anyways, I will unmute you, but I do want to show that you are also interrupting me. So
yeah, Pearl, muting your guest is a very disrespectful thing to do.
Okay, and I'm going to do it again. Yeah, again, you can nag these simps. You can't nag me.
No, you don't have to get a girl on a date to mitigate risk, bro.
Okay, well, I guess there's no risk if you never get on the date.
Yeah, that's right. So the thing is, if you're talking about
so walk away.
If we're talking about mitigation
where is he sourcing the women from? Instagram?
You're asking for stuff. Stop cutting me off.
So, I need you.
If you're asking a question, you gotta let me answer the question.
But you're not answering the question.
What's the question? But then you have to not talk while I answer it.
Okay, I'll try. I'm a woman, so it's kind of tough.
Okay, go ahead.
You see, when other women yap or insult, it's unacceptable, a reason to dismiss everything they say. But when she does it, being a woman is the only excuse she needs. Because at the end of the day, every single criticism she has given in her life is an admission of guilt. Another example is she will say women need to be traditional and to leave more submissive lives to men. Yet look at her. She isn't married, she's pursuing her career, and she sleeps around. On top of that, she's literally anything but a submissive woman. Every single time she interacts with a person on stream, she's extremely dominant and forces what she wants onto other people.
If you continue to mute me, I don't even know when you're muting me or not. I'm not going to be able to have a conversation with you. I don't think you're acting in good faith right now. So I'm gonna have to end this stream with you if you're going to continue to mute me.
Yeah, you can't stop me.
Okay, well,
I'm always waiting for these like feminine women to show me their submission, and they just never can.
And if she doesn't like you and you don't listen to everything she says as the alpha woman, you're going to get muted. Why the contradiction? How does she excuse this hypocritical behavior? Well, because it's fine when she does it because she's the host. It's her platform. It's her business as a strong, independent woman. She can do whatever she wants. She is entitled to that. She can do whatever she wants. She can break all of the rules she tells other women to follow. How convenient. And when she doesn't have this power to mute people and to kick people at will, what happens?
How many women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country. So a lot of women do as a result of pregnancy and childbirth, yes.
She freezes up. That's what happens. She's more frozen than a fainting goat that's terrified at the mere sight of a tractor. Now you might be asking, Remnant, why would anybody listen to such a stupid person? Which is a good question. Her entire brand appeal is that she's a red pill woman that says the things people want to hear. Oh guys, a woman is saying the things I want to hear. Take my money. I mean, okay, to be fair, now I kind of understand where the left was coming from when they said it's easier to grift on the right. You know, I take that back. I think if you're a woman, it is a lot easier to grift on the right. Okay, I do concede my point to the left there. You guys are right about that. Going back to Pearl though, she is a grifter that has absolutely zero principles and doesn't even understand any of the claims that she makes. Because let's recall, what is her official name again? The Parrot Grifter. Why did I choose to make her official name the Parrot Grifter? Because Polly the fucking parrot doesn't need to understand the words it's taught to say. When Polly says the N-word, it doesn't know it's saying a racial slur. All Polly wants is to be fed the cracker. And that's what she is. Her entire brand is simply built upon saying the correct things for her crowd. That way, she's continuously fed all of those tasty crackers. And as I said before, whenever you call somebody a grifter, you have to be able to prove it. We can see this with Pearl because her own actions contradict everything she has ever said in politics. Every single post she has made online is not designed to shed truth on a subject, but simply to benefit herself. If she truly believed half of the things she says online, Pearl wouldn't be here. But she can't live up to her own principles because being principled doesn't benefit her. Another useful tip for spotting grifters. Many of these people are very arrogant and dogmatic about the things they say, despite having little to no evidence to substantiate it. They make huge claims about women, and look, you can believe whatever you want. I'm even a right-wing traditional Christian, so what do you think I believe? But 90% of the time, all their evidence is literally just telling you to go outside. Go outside and talk to women and you'll see the same things I do. But if you disagree with them, they simply shame you by calling you a weak beta male, which is a manipulative feminine shaming tactic according to themselves. And that is how these grifters operate when you confront them. Now for the last segment of this video, I'm not going to touch on any specific person, and instead, I want to examine an overarching behavior that you commonly see among non-political mainstream content creators. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but it's to say the very popular streamers. And I'm not classifying what I'm about to say as grifting, but it's worth touching on in this video. Take a look at a lot of these mega big mainstream content creators. When politics is brought up, usually against their will, what tends to happen? They do not appear articulate, clear, or concise about any of their positions. And as a result, a lot of people gather that these people are politically stupid or shallow, or they just don't care about the subject. I disagree. I personally hypothesize that a lot of these people are not stumbling or mumbling because they don't have an opinion, but rather because they're trying to figure out what the correct thing to say is. All of which is done so that they can lose the fewest amount of people in their audience as possible. Because again, these people are not stupid. In fact, I think a lot of these people are really intelligent and very opinionated on politics. The caveat is, they don't care how you view them. They don't care if you view them as dumb, inarticulate, or uneducated. What they care about is not losing their entire business that they have cultivated and created, which is entirely understandable. 90% of the time when these things happen, it's like you're locked in a room with Hasan, where he forces you to watch and react to propaganda. They don't want to do this. They just want to stream video games. Leave the poor guy alone. You don't have to have an opinion on everything, and you don't have to tell the world what you believe. These people are fundamentally just trying to survive. That's it. The bigger you get, the more scared you become of losing what you've cultivated. These people are fucking terrified. I'm telling you right now. Like, what exactly happens when a very controversial thing happens on stream? What do a lot of these streamers end up doing? They end up using what I call the nervous laugh, while trying to change the subject at the exact same time, and they do not comment on what just happened. Why? Because the more vague a response is, the more easily they can navigate the situation. If somebody holds that against you, you can literally say, I was nervously laughing. I was uncomfortable by the situation and I do not support what just happened. Or if it's a good thing, you can say I was laughing because it was very funny to me. The more vague of responses, the more it is open to an interpretation depending on, again, what the correct answer is. And the correct answer to all of these people is what loses me the fewest amount of people possible. But again, I'm not calling these apolitical people grifters. Just want to specify that. But it's an interesting thing that you cannot unsee once you notice it. To summarize everything I said in a nutshell, don't just accuse people you disagree with or dislike of being grifters. You're stupid for that. You need evidence, and you look at their actions, their lifestyle, their history, to see if they truly believe the things that they're saying. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much to everybody who supports me on Patreon. Your support to me is invaluable, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.